friends! Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. In this episode, I'm going to build an API Proxy Server with Node.js and Express and a Filterable List with Vanilla JavaScript. Now, if you've been tuning in, I did say I wasn't going to stream tonight, but I got finished with things earlier than I thought, so I thought I'd do a quick stream. It shouldn't take too long. I say that all the time. But yeah, let's get into it. Hello, Emmy, welcome to the stream. There is, yes, welcome. Totally impromptu. I said there wasn't going to be, but I'm here. So here's the idea. First, let's take a break. We're just getting started. But here's the idea. I want to display a list of things on the page, and then I want to be able to type into a form and in real time only show the things in the list that match what I've typed into the form. Now I could do this without an API server. You could contact some existing API, but what I want to do today is to create a page where you can filter across my list of uploads and videos. And to do that, we have to talk to the YouTube API. And the YouTube API has some restrictions on it that you can't directly call it from the client. So what I'm going to do is build an Express server that will call the YouTube API for me and hide my API key. And then I'm going to build a front end that talks to that proxy to get the data back. This will all make sense as I do it, I guess. I don't know. But if you're watching live, throw a message in the chat. I see there are already a few viewers. That's awesome. I did say I wasn't going to be here, but I'm here anyways. Surprise, CJ. Okay, let's get started. And if at any time you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. If you want to know what is a proxy server or like what exactly I'm doing here, then please ask away. Cool. So I am in this folder. I'm first going to make a server folder. And inside of that folder, we are going to initialize it as an npm repository. Actually, I'll do npm init-y. Gives me all of my defaults, which is good. Then I'm going to install some dependencies. I need Express. I need Course. I need Morgan. I need, what else do I need? .env. And then also a node.mon. So Express is our API server. Cores is going to allow us to make requests from the front end. Morgan is a logger, so we can see incoming requests. .env is a package that's going to allow me to hide my API key from GitHub. And node.mon is a development server that will automatically refresh my server as I code. So I have all those dependencies, and if we look in here, we've got that. That's awesome. Let's create a start script. And this is just going to say start node index.js. And then we'll also create a dev script. And this is going to say nodemon index.js. Okay, we're up and going. Let's create an index.js file. And we're going to create a basic Express app. So first thing we do is bring in Express. Then we'll bring in those other dependencies. So I'm going to bring in cores. I'm also going to bring in Morgan. And I'll also bring in .env. And actually for .env, I'll talk about in a second, like when I actually create the .env, what it's actually doing. But for .env, you can just do this .config. We'll come back to that. All right, so let's create our Express app. We'll just say const app equals Express invoked. Got an Express app. Let's look at my README. So we created the server folder. We installed all of our dependencies. Now let's create a Git route to proxy the API request. So I'm going to be requesting a list of videos from YouTube. So I'm going to make a simple Git route. It's going to be app.use. Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll create this route, then I'll go back and add the middleware. So app.get, I want to make a request to /videos. And then I'll have my request handler. And I will just, for now, respond with an empty array because we're going to set everything else up. So that's good to go. I totally forgot we want to use our middlewares. So the first thing is we'll use Morgan. So I'll say app.use Morgan invoked. And we are going to use the tiny formatter. So Morgan is a package that will log incoming requests. And then we'll also use cores. So cores is cross-origin resource sharing, and this adds a special header that allows my front end to make requests to my backend. Cool. So got a basic Express app. Let's create our 404 error handler and our 404 handler and our error handler. So let's create a function. Let's call this not found. And in Express, our middleware take in rec, res, and next. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new error first. And we're going to say not found. We're then going to set the status of the response, so res.status, to be 404. And then we're going to call next and pass in the error. So the way middleware works is it's essentially in the chain of requests. So these up here are middleware, meaning when requests come into my app, they're going to hit these middleware and something special is going to happen. This is my own custom middleware that if a request comes into my server that doesn't exist, this is the function that's going to get called. And then we also need an error handler. So we'll call this error handler. This takes in the request, the response, and next, but the first parameter is error. And this is how Express knows to differentiate this handler from all your other handlers because it has 4 parameters. So in this, what we'll do is we'll do a res.json. We want to send back whatever the error message was. So I'm going to say error.message. And that should be it for now. We'll say res.status. And we'll say res.status code. So if for whatever reason any middleware before this set a status code, let's use that. Otherwise, let's set the status code to 500. Cool. So I've got those two things, and now we need to use them. So we'll use my error handler first. So I'll say my not found, app.use not found. And then I'll say app.use with my error handler. Okay. Last thing is we need to start up our app. So I need to know what port I'm running on. So port is going to be process.env.port, or let's do it on 5000. And then we'll make our app listen. So app.listen, pass in the port. And then we'll print out a nice little message that says listening on port. And then we'll pass in whatever the port may be. Cool. So got a basic Express app. It has some middlewares. It has a route that right now just returns an empty array. It has a not found function and an error handler. Let's see what happens. So I should be able to do npm run dev. And if I haven't made any mistakes, it starts up. So if I visit the browser at localhost 5000, I get back the message not found because I don't have a route at /. But if I make a request to /videos, I get back an empty array. Cool. So we have our basic Express app up and running. Now I want to contact the API. So first thing I'll do is install a package to do that. For that, I'm going to use node fetch. So if you're familiar with fetch on the front end, node fetch lets you use fetch inside of Express apps. So I'm going to do npm install node fetch. Cool. So now that we have it, we'll bring it in. We'll just call it fetch in here, but we're going to require it from, I want to get this done before I take the break, node-fetch. Cool. All right, let's take a quick break, quick stretch. All right, we're just getting to the good stuff. Now, this is where I want to actually make the request to some other server. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a fetch to some URL. We'll define what that is. Then we get back the response, and we will turn that response into JSON. And then we get back the JSON. And now, instead of responding with just an empty array, we are going to respond with that JSON. So essentially what we're doing is we're making a request to our Express server. Our Express server is making a request to some other server, and then we're sending back the response that the other server gave us. So now I need this URL. So for this, I am going to be contacting the YouTube Data API. I've done a little bit of research, and I figured out what the URL is. So I have that. However, it requires an API key. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new file in here called .env. And in this file, I need a Google API key. And that's going to be some value. Then I need this URL, which I'm going to hide my API key real quick. Okay, so this is actually the URL I want to make the request against. So const URL equals that. And essentially this URL makes a request to the YouTube API for all of the videos in Coding Garden uploads. So we're going playlist items, we have the specific playlist ID, and these are my uploads, and we're telling it to return 50 results. Now, this is great, but this won't work because I need to also pass in an API key. So if we go in the browser and try to make a request, it will say daily limit for unauthenticated requests exceeded. So I actually need to pass in the API key. So for that, we're just going to append it on the end. So I'm going to say that URL and key equals, and I need to make sure to parameterize this, key equals process.env.google API key. So what this is saying is bring in the value defined in our environment called Google API key. And in here, I have it defined there. Cool. Then when we use this package here, .env config, that actually brings in my environment variables. And then whenever this code runs, it'll actually use my API key in that request. So let's see what happens. Now, if we make a request to /videos, that is going to make a request to Google's API, get back the results, and then send them back here. But you'll notice right now it's saying bad request, key invalid, because right now my key is just this random stuff. So I'm going to hide my screen real quick, put in my Google API key, and then it should work. So I will be back momentarily. Okay, so I put my API key in that file. You can't see it. But now that it's in there, when I make this request, it broke. Oh, I think I need to maybe restart my server now that I have a .env. Try again. Hey-o. So now, notice the URL, localhost 5000. So I'm making a request to my local Express server. It then makes a request out to YouTube, gets back the data, and logs it out here. Awesome. The cool thing about this, though, is because I'm using that cores module, this request now has the access control allow origin headers set on it, which means now when I build the front end, I can make a request against this URL. Awesome. One thing I need to do, though, is put my .env in a Git Ignore file. So let's create a Git Ignore file in here. Not a new folder, a new file. Let's call this .gitignore. And inside of there, I want to ignore node modules because I don't want to push those up to GitHub. But I also want to ignore .env because I don't want to push up my API key to GitHub because then random peoples could get it. Brett, welcome to the stream. Good afternoon in New Zealand. It's actually evening here in Denver, Colorado. So I put that in there so that way when I push up the code, I won't be pushing up my secret key. But one thing I can do is create a sample env. So .env.sample. So when developers do pull down my code, they know what the .env looks like. So I'm going to say in here, Google API key equals your API key here. Cool. So now when I push this up to GitHub, the sample will go up to GitHub, and then you, the developer that might pull down this repo, can create a .env and put your own API key in there. Awesome. All of that just so I can now make a filterable list. But we have this awesome endpoint. It's returning data from Google, and now we can filter over it. One thing I'll do is instead of returning all of the JSON, I'm just going to return the items array. So that way we just have a simple array that we can iterate over. So I'm going to do json.items. And now when I request my server, I just get back that array. Awesome. All right, let's check some boxes. And I guess I will deploy right quick. Hey Chad, welcome to the stream. Yes, 27 subscribers left to get to 1,000. It has been a crazy week. I never expected for the channel to grow this fast. It's pretty awesome. And I have good things coming. So when I get to 1,000, there'll be a special announcement video. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, but let's go ahead and deploy this so that it'll be on the interwebs, and then when I deploy the front end, it can talk to the back end. So here's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so this server folder is what I want to deploy to now, but I need to add my API key. So if I do now secrets, that allows you to add API keys to now so that you can use them when you make a deployment. So I'm going to add a secret. Now secrets add. This will be my Google API key. You can call this whatever you want. And then the value is the secret value. So I'm going to hide my screen again while I put in that secret value. Oh, wait. Is that right? It worked anyways. Cool. So I'm going to put that in there. It's happening. It's taking a few seconds for whatever reason. Why is it taking so long? It does say success. It's just kind of hanging there though. Oh, there we go. Cool. So let me close this tab so that you can't see it. And now I will deploy the backend. So if I do now -- help, if you want to deploy with an API key, you can do now -e. The first parameter, oh no, my API key is being displayed. I tried my hardest to hide it. That's okay. I'll revoke it after this live stream. But if you wanted to know what your .env might look like, it looks like that. Dang it, I tried so hard. Oh well. So to actually deploy with your API key, you need to say the name that you want it to be inside of your code. So whatever I'm accessing right here, that's what the first value needs to be. Equals, and then at whatever you called it. And I called it a Google API key. Cool, so that's going to deploy with my API key. I tried so hard to hide my API key. Ugh. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to generate a new one real quick. Well, then I'd have to redeploy. Oh well. Oh well, it's fine. It's fine. After this video, I'm going to revoke it. Create a new one. The dangers of coding live on the internet. It's happening. It's happening. For whatever reason, now's taking a while today. Verifying. Verifying. How are you doing? Anybody out there watching live? Are you doing okay? Are you having a good night? I had a good night. I had a good dinner. It was free. Free dinners are always awesome. Well, while that's happening, let's go ahead and start working on our front end. Okay, so the back end is deploying. We'll test it in a second. So now let's create a client folder. Nope, don't do that. Let's create a folder, not inside of there. Here? Here. New folder. We're going to call this client. Inside of the client folder, we are going to create a new file called index.html. We're going to generate a simple HTML template. We will maybe bring in some custom styles. So let's go ahead and create that. So in this folder, let's create a main.css. And then we'll bring in some JavaScripts down at the bottom. Main.js. Cool. And we'll create a new file, main.js. Let's make sure it works. Hello world. And then let's start it up. So for whatever reason, that's still running. Very curious. But let's go up one directory into the client folder, and then we'll use light server to serve our client. Hey Bob, how you doing? Brett says just finished the work for the week, so he's doing great. That's awesome. Does New Zealand or does your job have like a 4-day work week? I've always wanted to work a place like that. I never have before. Cool. So light server is running. We're getting our hello world. Everything is awesome. Let's use Bootswatch today for our UI. Let's see. Let's use Cyborg, just because this is a list of videos from my site, and my site does have like it's very dark. So let's use Cyborg. Ooh. Let's grab the CSS. And then we'll throw this into our HTML file. So link, CSS file, good to go. Let's create a main. Let's give main a class of container. That is a bootstrap thing. And then we'll just say, let's throw like an H1 and say coding garden videos. Wow. Am I like zoomed way in? Yeah, 100%. Cool. Awesome. All right, so got our title there. Is the deploy still going? No, it's done. Wait, instance verification timed out. Let's see if it's working though. That's lame. Well, that's not what this video is about, so we'll come back to that. Okay, so my server's running. Let's look at our to-do list. First thing is make an API request to our proxy server. So in my main JavaScript, when the page loads, I need to make a request to some URL. Right now, I'm just going to make it locally, but when I get that deployment figured out, we'll make the request to the deployed URL. So localhost 5000/videos. So that's the API proxy that we created. Now let's fetch that. Then we get back the videos. Oh, Brett said it's actually Friday there. Of course, he's in the future. I forgot. So yeah, so we get back our videos, and then let's just log those out to the console. So now our client is making the request to the proxy server, which is making the request to YouTube, which is giving it back the results, which is giving us back the results. So now on the front end, we are getting that data. Whoa, what's happening? There we go. Yeah, so now on the front end, we're actually getting that data from the proxy server. Awesome. Let's just try to deploy our backend again. I may need to update the CLI. Oh, well, that worked instantly, and that worked instantly. I wonder why. Okay, so yeah, our deployed server is now working. Let's give it an alias. So this is the server name. We can do now alias. Let's call this coding garden videos. And then, yeah, we get a nice URL like that, /videos. Good to go. So now we're actually going to make the request to the deployed URL. So instead of localhost, we'll make the request to the API, and it still works. Awesome. Okay. Because that's working, I'm going to go ahead and kill my local proxy server, because now we're talking to the internet. So we made the API request to the server. Now let's add the results to the page. So let's create a little area where we can add the results. We'll create a section. Let's give this an ID of videos. And then in our JavaScript, we will get access to the videos. So we'll say videos element is document.querySelector with the thing with the ID videos. Cool. And so now that we have the videos, we want to iterate over them. I'll keep logging them so we can see which things we want from it. But let's do videos.forEach. That's going to give us each video. And then we actually want to append this to the page. So we'll say const video element is document.create element. We're just going to create a div. And let's look at Bootstrap real quick to see if we can find any components that might be good for this. Because like this is a list of videos, and we have access to, I believe, the thumbnails for the video. So like we could show the thumbnail. Yeah, let's look at the max res thumbnail for this one. Cool. So we could show the thumbnail and then the title. Do they give us back the description too? Resource ID. I thought they did. Well, that should work. But let's look at Bootstrap real quick and see, not Bootstrap 3, we want Bootstrap 4. Docs. They have like a media list. This could work, but our images, yeah, yeah, this could work. Because we could have like larger images and then the title in there. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a car alarm going on outside. Let's see if there's anything else that we could use. Media object. Yeah. Let's just use this, and we can throw the image in there. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna set the inner HTML of this video element to be that string, just because. I mean, technically, I could create each element manually. Let's do that. So we are going to mimic this using pure DOM manipulation. Boognish, cheers from the Coding Train fam. Thanks for streaming. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's create an image element. So const image element. And actually, I don't have to be as verbose with these. Let's just call this image. And that's going to be document.create element image. And then we want to set the source. So image.src is going to be video dot something. Video dot, oh man, let's comment that line out. Video dot thumbnails. Video dot snippet dot thumbnails dot max res. Okay. Video dot snippet dot thumbnails dot max res. Okay, so that's setting the source of the image. Cool. And then we'll see this is given a class of margin right 3. So we can do image dot class name is mr-3. And then we want to create a media body div. So let's say media body is document.create element. We want to create a div, and we want to give that div a class name of media body. Cool. But we called it media body, not div. Okay. And then we need an h5. So let's say h5 is document.create element with the h5. And then this has a class name of mt-0. And then the heading is going to be the title of the video. So I'll say h5.textContent will be, let's look back at our object, snippet.title. So video.snippet.title. Cool. And then we need to append this h5 to the media body. So I'll say media body.append child h5. And then we need to append the image to this video element. And this video element needs to have a class of media. So video element dot class name is media. So this is creating this outer div. This image is creating this element. This div here is creating that div. That's creating the h5. And then we don't have like any text to go below it. So here's what we need to do. We first need to append the image to the video element. So I'll say video element dot append child image. That is my break timer. Let's take a quick stretch. Tonight I'm drinking Tangerine LaCroix. Okay, so we put the image on the div. Now we want to put this div onto this div. So we'll say video element dot append child media body. And then we want to put this h5, and I guess we already did. So we appended the h5 to the media body. So using pure vanilla DOM manipulation, we have recreated this here. And so now I want to append this video element to the videos element. So let's say videos element dot append child video element. Okay, moment of truth. Here we go. It broke. Let's object. I guess I'm not giving it the right thumbnail URL. So snippet.thumbnails.maxres.url. Okay, I got to do a .url. Hey, those are gigantic. And they're all across. Let's see if this needs anything special. And actually, let's look at the DOM tree to see what actually got added to the page. Yeah. Div class media, image, media body, and then cannot read property URL of undefined. What? Ah, so maybe there is no max res on some of these videos. Okay. So honestly, it doesn't need to be huge though. So we could just do, let's just do default. Let's see how big that is. That's really small. But what I'm thinking is some of those videos don't have, yeah, it's tiny. What about standard? Oh, that should be okay. 640 by 480 is a decent size. Oh. Whoa. Yeah, let's see. That's decent. Let's see if they have a standard. If they don't, then we'll have to add some logic in there to say, like, if there is no standard image, then main.js line 13. Okay, so right before we do that, let's just log that specific video to see what's going on. Okay, so we got to this one. This one has a snippet and then thumbnails. It only has default, high, and medium. Okay, let's do this. Let's say const image res is standard, or what was that, medium, or high. So hopefully one of those exists, and then we'll grab the URL off of that. Okay, let's see what we get. Hey, no errors. Looks really ugly though. But we are getting back all of the videos. Let's see what we can do. You know, there is a Bootstrap thing called a thumbnail, image thumbnails. Or if we look at components, or I guess we could technically use a card. Yeah, let's use a card. So here's what we'll do. We'll update our DOM manipulation to be a card instead, and then we'll make it like 3 across or something like that. We should have done that from the beginning, but that's okay. So here's what we do. The topmost element needs to have a class of card. And then we append the image, but the image needs to have a class name of card image top. Okay. And then the div needs to have a class name of card-body. And then the h5 needs to have a class name of card-title. And that should do it. Let's see what we get. Hey, we got a bunch of cards. Cool. So let's set up their styles so that it's like 3 across. So in the HTML, we have this section. Let's give this a class of row. Maybe row wrap. We might go look at the doc. So that's a row. Now I can give this div a class of column-4. So it's 3 across because we have 12 total columns. Hey, look at that. That's decent. Okay. Some of the images are a little bit smaller, so it doesn't look the greatest, but that's okay. Let's also give the card a little bit of padding. Let's just mess with the dev tools real quick and see if we give this div like padding of 1em. I was just seeing is padding is inside of the element, and so when I do that, it's just making the black background a little bit more. Yeah, but what I really want is margin, but what I'm afraid is that the margin will throw off the column size. Let's see though. So let's do margin 1em. Yeah, and you notice how it wrapped the next one. Let's do this. We're going to create a div inside of a div. So we're going to have an outer div that has a class of column-4, and then an inner div that has margin, mainly so these things don't wrap. So that way we still have 3 across. So let's call this outer div. Let's call this column div. That'll be document.create element div. Whoa, now. And this will have a class name of column-4. And then we're going to append this video element to the column div. So we'll say column div dot append child video element. So we do that. Let's see where we're at. So we've got our main. Got this. Oh, now instead of appending the video element, we want to append the column div. Okay, so we've got our main. It has a section. Inside of there, we've got divs with column-4. And you'll notice we're already getting like a little bit of area around it. But then on the card itself, there's a bootstrap class for margin all 1. That should shrink it in just a little bit more. Yeah, I think so. Okay, I think I'm done playing with the styles. Now, what you came here for, maybe, is filtering this list. So we made the API request. We're listing all of this stuff here. Now I want a form up at the top where I can type, and it just filters this list in real time. So let's do that. So we added the results to the page. Now let's add a form. So right above this section, we will do a form, and we'll add actually, I want to use the bootstrap classes. So let's go to their docs, see how they do forms. Yeah, div class form group, and then that will have just like my search inside of it. Okay, so I do have a basic form. Do the form group. And then this will be for filter. We'll say search. The type is text. The ID is filter. And then don't need any of that. Don't need that. And then we'll add, well, we don't even need a button because we want as they type instantly start filtering. So now got a nice little search form. So I want to be able to say Vue.js, and then the results automatically start to filter as I do that. Oh, I'm looking in the chat. I think I understand what James James is saying now. Double header. This is my second stream of the day. So I did a morning tea stream, and I felt like coding, so I'm streaming again. Okay. Now let's tap into this. So we have the form on the page. Now let's listen for key up on this input. So whenever the user, let's do key down. So the moment they do a key down, we will filter the list instantly. So here's what we'll do. Let's first grab that input. So let's say const filter input is document.querySelector, the element with the ID filter, I believe. Did I give it an ID of filter? Yes, I did. So that will grab this input, and then we want to add an event listener to it. So I'll say filter input.add event listener key down. Yeah, the moment they press it. They don't even have to release it. The moment they press it, we'll start filtering. And then we'll create a function called filter list. Okay, now we need a function. We're going to call it filter list. And inside of here, for now, let's just log the filter elements value. Filter input.value, because that will be whatever they typed into the form. So now, if we look at the DevTools, and actually let's stop logging all of these objects. Okay, so hello world. So as we type, it goes to the console. Awesome. So now we want to only show the elements on the page that match this. So how are we going to do that? Let's do this. Let's store the ID of the video on the element itself, because then inside of here we can search for any video that matches the text and then only show the videos that have those specific IDs. This will make sense. So first, I need access to this array of videos. Technically, I could just create this global variable, like say let videos equal, and actually just equal nothing. And then when I get back the response, let's call this all videos. Then when I get back the response, we can set all videos to be videos. And then now inside of this function down below, I have access to that array of videos. So let's say if all videos has a value, then right now we'll just log it out. Log all videos. And I'll stop logging. Yeah, I stopped logging videos in there. So now, wait, am I still logging it? Yeah, let's get rid of that log. So now, page loads, type a letter, and we log the entire array. Okay, now instead of logging the entire array, let's only log the videos that match whatever the user typed in. So we do know that video.snippet.title is what we're going to be matching against. So here's what we'll do. Let's say all videos.for each video if title.match. And right now we'll just do a basic match. We'll say if the title, well, no, we need to do a regular expression. Basically, we need to say if the word that they typed is anywhere in the title, let's only show that video. So let's create a regular expression, Regex, and we'll pass in filter input dot value. And this is wrong right now. Don't pay attention to that. So this is what they typed into the form. So I'm going to create a regular expression that includes what they typed into the form, but I'm going to say search the whole thing and be case insensitive. So if they type lowercase Vue.js, that will still match against uppercase Vue.js. Cool. So now I have this regular expression. And what I want to say is, does the video.snippet.title match this regular expression? And if it does, show video. And if it doesn't, hide the video. Okay. For now, let's just log the video that it matches. And let's see. So if I type Vue.js and we look at least one of them that was logged, the title is Vue.js Abstravaganza. So it's working. It's matching only the videos that match whatever the user typed in. Intro and overview of Vuetify.js. And then I have Vue.js in there somewhere too. And notice it's case insensitive because the title itself like has a capital V and this one has a lowercase v. So that's working. Awesome. So now how am I going to show the video? What I need to do is reach into the page to grab that specific video. So let's take a quick break. Bob is saying it's not logging the last letter being typed, I don't think. I think it is, isn't it? Because it's a, well, here, I'll stop. Yeah, so I stopped logging the video. Oh, it's not. Why is that? I am doing a key down. H-E-L-L-O. You know what? Instead of grabbing the value of the input, let's access it from the event. That's probably why. So instead of filter input.value, I'll do event.target.value. So that should be, it could be that the event was happening and the value on the page didn't update in time. Oh, it didn't because the value, because it was on key down. Of course. But I do want it to be key down because I want it to be instant. So I think, right? You might be right, Bob. I might have to use key up. Let's say. So const filter is event.target.value, and then we'll log filter. Cool. And something else in the chat, Sai is mentioning why not use includes instead of regex. The main thing is I want it to be case insensitive. So if they type a lowercase letter, I still want to match against like an uppercase letter. I don't think includes do that. Includes does that. Okay, let's see. And you might be right, Bob, because if I do, you're right. Okay, we'll do key up because I guess it doesn't make sense for key down because when the key's down, the input hasn't updated yet. There we go. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. But where were we? Now we only want to show videos that match. So I need some way to identify them. Let's just log one of these videos that matches. And each video has a unique ID. So it has an ID. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the ID of the video inside of the DOM as a data attribute. So here's what we'll do. Whenever we create this outer div, we're going to say column div.dataset.id equals video.id. And now inside of the DOM, all of our elements will have an ID. So now if we inspect this, you'll notice all of these divs have unique IDs. So what we can do is we can reach into the DOM and say, the thing with this specific data ID, hide it or set its style to display none. So now that they have this, we'll say, and actually, we'll do this, but we could do better than that because one thing we're gonna have to do is say like document.querySelector. The thing I want is a div that has a data ID of, let's use a template string. So data ID of video.id. And so this is a selector to say, grab the thing on the page where its data ID has this specific ID. And really, if it matches, then we're going to say .style.display is that, meaning show it. Otherwise, we'll say style display is none. So if it didn't match, set style display none. If it did match, show it on the page. This might do it. Look at that. channel overview. It's working. Coding garden. Cool. Angular. Cool. So it's working. I think we can do better. So one thing about document.querySelector is it has to search the entire DOM every time that happens. So instead of searching the DOM, we can keep track of our videos, so that way we don't have to search the whole DOM. So let's do this. Let's create an object. Let's say video elements by ID, and that's just going to be an object. And then instead of setting a data ID, I'll say video elements by ID at video.id will be that div. So now, instead of storing the ID in the DOM, now it's just in JavaScript land. And now I should just be able to say video elements by ID dot style dot display. Just that. Oh, not that. It works. And you'll notice it seems a little bit faster. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but the page is updating a lot faster than before, because before, for every single element, it had to search the entire DOM to find it. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. And I thought I was going to have to do special logic, but when the search is empty, that matches everything, so they automatically all pop back up. Cool. Let's stop logging this filter. Let's look at my README. Filter list on key up. Debounce filtering for performance if needed. I don't think it's needed. So one thing is, if you have a list that has like hundreds or thousands of items, filtering this quick will make the page like freeze, because like it takes so much work just to hide something from the DOM. So one thing you could do is delay hiding it as the user types, and then when the user finishes typing, or like every 500 milliseconds while the user is typing, then filter the results. I don't think we're going to do that because the performance is just fine. Cool. I think we did it. Can anyone think of other things we should add to this? But otherwise, I think we're good to go. Vue.js. Bob says it's legit. Says hey to Kaizen. Oh, Kaizen, you're here. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Cool. That was fun. Trello. Yeah, and check out my 3-part video series on building a Trello client with Vue.js, Vuetify, and Feathers. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. So I am going to deploy this app, so it makes it super easy to filter across all of my videos. Oh, last thing, let's make it so when you click it, it goes to YouTube. I guess we could also make it embed the YouTube video. I don't know. There's a million and one things we could do to this. Let's log those videos again, because I believe either the URL or here, we're not using our variable. Let's use our variable. Yeah, I'm not sure if the URL is inside of the video. Let's see. Let's log the videos. And then let's see. They might have like a watch ID, and then we can use that to link to resource ID, video ID. That's what we want, because if I say youtube.com/watch and then pass in that video ID, that is that specific video. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We want to make this title an anchor tag. And Kaizen in the chat is saying embed a modal. I guess that'd be cool. Like you click on a video and then a modal pops up that is the video player. I think that's too much for tonight's stream, but I'll push it up to GitHub. You guys can make pull requests. Cool. Last thing, let's make it so when you click anywhere on the div, it will link over to the video itself. So here's what we'll do. Really have to create like a parent element. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create an anchor tag. So say link is document.createElement. This is gonna be an A tag, and we're gonna say link.href is oh no, I forgot what it was. It is video.snippet.resourceid.videoid. Video.snippet.resourceid. .snippet.videoid, I think. And we want this to be, it needs to have the YouTube URL in front of it, like that. Yeah, so the href will now link to YouTube. And then now we will, instead of appending the div directly to the parent, we will append the div to this anchor tag and then append the anchor tag to the parent. So here's what we'll do. We'll say videos element.append child link, and we'll say link.append child video element. All right, let's see. Cannot read property video ID of undefined. I guess I got that wrong. Are we logging them still? Snippet resource ID. Did I spell that right? And the error I'm getting is cannot read property video ID of undefined. So snippet is undefined? Oh, I flipped them. It's snippet.resourceid. Well, no, I did too much. That. There we go. There we go. Oh, now things are weird. Because now the parentmost element is an anchor tag. But it should work. Yeah, now it links it to YouTube. All right, let's fix that. I guess one thing I could do is just make the title be a link out to YouTube. Cool. I'll check that out right after I do this, Kaizen. So Kaizen mentioned he hosted a version of an app that I built the other day on his own API. That's pretty cool. Okay, why is this happening? So the anchor tag, oh. Yeah, if we look at the DOM to see what's happening here, basically our anchor tag is really throwing off the formatting because, oh, that's why. Okay. Because the video element has class, wait, no. Okay. I'm losing track of these. This is why. We want to, okay, let's move this down to the bottom. We confused ourselves. Okay. We want column div dot append child link. Whoa. Okay, so the link gets the video element inside of it. The column gets the link inside of that, and then we append the column to the videos element. That's why. There we go. There we go. Okay, last thing, we'll make it so that when you click the link, it opens in a new tag. We could do link.set attribute. We want to set the target attribute to be blank. And so that's a way of making it so that a link opens in a new tab. Click it. Oh, wait. Let's make sure. So, oh, sorry, I reversed that. Oh no, stop it. It should be target equals underscore blank. Cool. Now we click it, opens in a new tab. Fantastic. Awesome. And I'll check this out right before I end the stream. So Kaizen said he hosted a version of my vanilla photo search. So this was one that I did. This was the front end framework Showdown 2018. I built the same app with Vanilla JavaScript, React, Angular, and Vue. And he said he made one with his own API. Let's check it out. So it is Butte images.firebaseapp.com. This better not be anything suspicious. Cool. Okay. Find beauty. Let's explore. Search your favorite thing. Puppies. Search. Nice. And I see you added pagination, so we can go to next page. Cool. Very nice. That's awesome. Let's do mountains. What CSS framework are you using? Or is this Bootstrap 4? Next page. Sweet. Yeah. So when I did this, I didn't get to pagination, so that's one thing that he added. One thing I kind of also want to do is almost have like placeholder images, because you'll notice like if you search for something, they all start loading, and so then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And if we could have a placeholder, then that could be there, and then when the image is done loading, show the image instead. Kittens. Nice. Sweet. Great job, Kaizen. All right. I think that's it for the stream. I think last thing is I will deploy this up to the interwebs. So yeah, let's just deploy the client. And actually, I want my front end to be coding-garden-videos. Actually, I'll do CG videos. So now alias that with CG-videos. Does it exist? It does. Check it out. I'll throw it in the chat. You can go there and filter my videos. Wait, that was the wrong thing. There you go. Sweet. We did it. Awesome. That was fun. Let's do a quick review of what the heck is happening here, and then I will end the stream. So those of you that tuned in a little bit late, you missed that I actually created an API proxy server. So we're getting these results from YouTube. But to call YouTube, we need an API key, and YouTube also doesn't support cross-origin resource sharing. So I created a custom backend server that when you make a request to it, it then makes a request to YouTube. So if we look at the code for that, you make a request to /videos, it then makes a request out to YouTube, including the API key, then responds with the result, and then my front end gets the result. So this is our proxied API, and then the front end is making a request to this proxy. So we hosted my proxy there, and when the page loads, we get the data from the proxy, we get back all the videos, we iterate over each video, and then do some serious DOM manipulation to manually create all of the elements and set their properties, and then we append them to the videos element. So inside of the HTML, I just have this section with ID videos, and then we appended them there. And then the way filtering works is we're listening for key up on that input. So on this search form right here. And then anytime the key goes up, we then look across every single video to see if its title matches whatever they typed in. And we're keeping track of all of the videos in an object. So we just created an object, and then for each video, we add it to that object by its ID. So we add the actual element on the page to that object, so that in our filter function, all we have to do is just reach into that object for the thing with that ID, set its style to either be showing or hiding, and we get pretty fast search. Vue.js, newbie Tuesdays. Cool, awesome. I'll push all of this code up to GitHub. I'll throw a link in the description. Thanks everyone for tuning in this unscheduled stream, or like was supposed to not happen stream, but you showed up anyways. I appreciate you all. Next stream. Oh, I totally forgot. I did schedule a stream for Saturday. Ugh, I'm streaming all the time. But I'm gonna do, this is a much requested one that I have not done yet, an intro to Redux with React. This has like 9 votes on the poll on poll.coding.garden. So Saturday, 3 p.m., I will do intro to Redux with React. And then special guest Brooks from Brooks Builds, we're going to build a breakout or brick breaker game with P5JS on Sunday at 2 p.m. So if you want to check that out, click set reminder and tune in. Also, if you do want to suggest or vote for videos, you can go to this website. I think my backend has to spin up, but log in with GitHub. You can suggest a video or click heart. Oh, I guess it has 5 there, but then there's also someone else who suggested Redux. I'm doing Redux. I don't care. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, code will be in the description, and wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And I'll leave you with this.